to make sure that this mic cord is all the way in.
Yeah, like bolted in there.
Get the fuck in your hole. Go in the hole. It's great. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of How to Do Drugs. I'm your host, Aaliyah Janine, and today I have the wonderful Andrea Bryant here.
Hello.
Hello. You work at Gas Digital. You're the office manager, right?
Correct.
Well, it's very fun. We know each other from Route 66 Comedy Club, Smokehouse and Comedy Club. We do a lot of shows there every Wednesday, 7:30 p.m.
Yes, indeed.
It's a good time. With Larry. Larry will be there tomorrow.
Yes. I miss Larry.
Which is very exciting. So it's the second week in May, right? It is May
10th.
It's May 10th. Ooh, the Mercury retrograde started. Congratulations. Hey! I don't know if that means anything. You like to think that it does, or you're just using it as an excuse for your shitty behavior.
Whatever works, yeah.
But, because I missed a couple episodes in April, and I felt bad. So the first week of May, I recorded 4 episodes. This week, second week of May, I'm recording 2. So your episode will be all the way out in June.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So that way I have a bunch on backup, motherfuckers, because I'll record a bunch, and then I'll be like, I don't need to record, and then something will happen, and then I won't have an episode.
Yeah.
And, life, you guys, life, and I'm a disaster. Like, I'm fun, but I'm a disaster.
Hey, organizational skills aren't everyone's strong point. They're not mine all the time.
Yeah. I mean, with certain things, I guess I'm organized, just not, I think it's with, like, main stuff, like, adult stuff. Adulting is, it's gay.
Yeah, it's difficult.
I'm not a fan of being a fucking adult. I don't think I should be left unsupervised. I think that I need someone to tell me, be like, okay, you need to do this today, Aaliyah. You need to do this, at these certain times.
Yeah.
Because for the most part, I just don't care.
Yeah, it's tough to make yourself care. It's a conscious effort, and conscious efforts are exhausting.
I think, because I've also done a lot of hallucinogenics, and more so over the past 2 years where I was actually, like, using it for, to help with depression, to help, like, work through past traumas and stuff like that. Using drugs for what they're kind of meant for, which I think is counterproductive to doing drugs, but, whatever.
Yeah.
And now I realize that, like, we're just on a big rock, and, like, we have this paper that we have to, like, buy stuff with.
It's wild when you think about it, yeah.
Like, if you think of the grand scheme of things, like, there's no real purpose.
No, it's just kind of what you make of it.
Yeah.
You think too big, it gets too overwhelming, you just gotta cinch it down to what matters to you.
Yeah, I think, a lot of people, they would like to be remembered.
Yes.
When they pass. And, I don't know if I do. One, I also don't think that, that the earth in general will, like, really be around. For, like, like, sooner or later, but a lot of people need to realize that, like, shit's gonna change and shift, like how the continents and stuff are now, like, that's because stuff changed, and, like, it's still very, like, the United States could split it in half, and people be like, I can't believe that happened, who did it? It'd be like, it's called nature, bitches.
Exactly. Yeah. Things are always changing, and, like, I mean, you look at a cemetery that's been around for a really long time, and, if they didn't keep exact, like, surveyed, plots or whatever else, or, like, really long-lasting headstones that they maintained, it's like, who the hell knows who's buried there?
Yeah.
And, like, it's only been 100 years.
Yeah. Yes, I mean, some of those old cemeteries are pretty interesting. Like, I like going to cemeteries. I used to hang out in them a lot when I was little. Well, there's a difference between a cemetery and a graveyard. Mm-hmm. And a cemetery is a place that isn't connected to a church.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And a graveyard is, how some churches will have, like,
sure,
that's a graveyard.
Yeah.
Or is it the other way around?
We'll just say that's the distinction between the two. We will.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure cemetery is without a church, graveyard is with the church. But yeah, they have people there, like especially some of like the old St. Patrick's Cathedral. They have technically they have a cemetery.
Okay.
And they have a cemetery because it was a cemetery before it was a church. Like, they didn't build them together. So,
okay.
So it's like, I think that's where I got that little tidbit of information from. But I'm also slightly retarded, so it could be the other way around. Anyways, but there have been people that have been buried there for like 500 years.
Yeah, that's wild. So long.
Nobody's coming to visit them.
Yeah.
It's just like, that is how much humans be like, even when I'm dead, I'm gonna take a...
It is weird to think about. Yeah.
This space. It's so strange. That's why I want to either want to be cremated, or they have those cool like pod things where they grow a tree.
Yeah.
From your decomposing body. That would be cool.
That is pretty cool.
And then people, they won't know. I'll just be a tree.
Yeah. At least you'd be useful in death.
Yeah, helping clean the air, giving shade. Yeah. You like the giving tree. I have that tattoo right there. So you've been in the military, or you still technically are in the military, yes?
Yeah, I've got about 21 more days before the clock strikes midnight, and I'm free and clear, totally out.
So if a war broke out right now, they could literally call you to that.
Yes. It could happen.
It could happen.
And in theory, I mean, the shit would really have to hit the proverbial fan for that to be the case. So I'm feeling pretty good, but, don't want to count my eggs before they're hatched.
You never know with this economy.
Yeah.
With how things are going. That would be fucking crazy, though.
Oh, yeah. And
I'd be so pissed. I would be so mad.
That did happen shortly after 9/11. They stop-lossed a bunch of people. So if you were getting out, like, when they put it into effect, it was like, you can't get out for another year. Mm-hmm. So people who thought they were getting out tomorrow, surprise, you've got another year.
Oh, yeah.
And this has happened a few times, like, in the last couple decades, but luckily it's never applied to me. And, I'm just hoping, reservist, not that important, just kind of fade out.
Oh, so you were Army Reserves? Or Navy? No, you were in the Navy.
Yeah,
the
Navy Reserves.
So. And the Navy... actually, I don't want to say owns the Marines, but aren't the Marines part of the Navy?
So there's the Department of the Navy, and that encompasses Navy and Marine Corps.
And the Marine Corps, which a lot of people do not know. Yeah. They all think that they're separate military branches.
Right.
When they're not. I know that because my daddy was a Marine. What?
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, Marine. My ass rides in Navy equipment.
Yeah. I do love all like the little like fights and like in between all of the divisions or whatever, and especially with the Navy, they do have that like one up of the Marines, where the Marines are they're always known to be really tough.
Yeah.
Like the toughest of all the branches, and then the Navy is just like, well, we own you. So.
Yeah. We'll do your paperwork.
Like, we own you, and you ride on our boats, okay?
Yeah.
My other uncles, they were Army. I think Uncle Bill, though, I think he did Navy because he was good with like computers and stuff like that back in the day. I know that he never saw combat.
Right.
The way my father and my uncle did, which is another reason why they called him the milkman's son.
He was the outlier.
He was the outlier, but when they were over in Vietnam, they had... my dad was definitely already doing drugs, but a lot of veterans came back with some serious heroin addiction.
Oh, yeah. Huge.
Serious heroin addictions. And even, a lot of them, definitely smoked a lot more pot and stuff like that. But yeah, the opium was very plentiful.
Oh, definitely.
There. Now, you were overseas. Where were you located?
The my only time overseas was in Bahrain, and that's just an island nation just off the coast of Saudi Arabia.
Off of Saudi Arabia. So, is opium, is that like the main drug there? I would think like Afghan opium.
You know, maybe I didn't hear a lot of talk about the drug culture just because it still is a Muslim country and they're very tough on drugs. Even alcohol was kind of a weird thing where you could go out to bars and get it, but there's not like a 7-Eleven where you can take a 6-pack home.
Oh, yeah.
You'd have to go on base for that. So they were very, very harsh on drugs. But then it was also kind of weird because it was also where the Saudis, they drive over the causeway to Bahrain to go party for the weekend.
Okay.
You know, and get their booze and their hookers. But, like, as far as, like, what the Saudis wanted, they just wanted booze and hookers. They didn't need heroin or anything else.
Or anything like that. That's, I mean, that's a good thing, I guess. Definitely to go into a country, but also... Yeah. Probably a little boring, I was I mean, from my perspective, I'm like, wait, they ain't got no weed here? No, they definitely, I've had Afghan Kush. I don't know if it actually comes from Afghanistan.
It very well might. Yeah,
I'm sure some of that stuff does. Was there any wars that, like, you were going into? Or that were like going on when you were over there, and was there a lot of drug use, you know, with the soldiers, or like?
Yeah. So, you know, when I was over there, so 2012 through 13, you know, of course, Afghanistan's still going on, war in Iraq to some degree or another, but. And we were always told we're the tip of the spear in terms of support and, you know, whatever. But at least specifically in Bahrain, I don't recall or really, you know, never heard about drug use. It was actually much more common when I was stationed in Washington State.
Okay.
The big one was, I want to say K2. That's not right. Spice. People were smoking spice, the synthetic marijuana.
Okay, because it doesn't show up in drug tests?
Bingo! Yeah, because especially this command in Washington, we got drug tested all the time. So people were constantly trying to find stuff that, like, skirted around so they could be a drug test. And
I guess they probably do more extensive drug tests now than they did back in the 60s, 70s. Do they do the hair follicle testing, or
no,
or just urine?
They could. So as far as like your random drug test goes, it's all urine, and then there's only specific things they can test for unless they have probable cause. So I had one friend, he was just this jacked little Asian dude, and it's like, doesn't take a genius to figure out, probably on steroids.
Yeah.
But unless you can find track marks or, you know, some evidence, you cannot make him test for steroids.
Oh.
They don't test for that because, you know, it's difficult to, it's expensive.
Yeah.
But like weed and coke and all that stuff, that's easy to test for, so...
Yeah, you can get those over the counter now.
Yeah.
Basically.
Exactly. So, yeah, those are kind of the drugs of choice. Like, maybe some people were on PEDs, which they didn't test for,
or they're on... What are those?
Performance-enhancing drugs.
Oh,
so,
okay. Oh, yeah. Just other steroids.
Yeah, stuff that won't pop. And then the scuttlebutt was... Navy term for gossip.
Yes! I love scuttlebutt! Scuttlebutt.
Was that you could do cocaine over the weekend because it would be out of your system if a drug test rolled around on Monday.
It takes about, well, it also depends on, like, fluids and weight, your weight and stuff like that. Yeah, it takes about 2 to 4 days.
Okay.
To get out of your system. The cocaine, that's one of the fastest ones. Weed, if I remember correctly, could take up to like a month
I've
to
heard
clean
that
out. Depending on how much you smoke now.
Yeah.
It's ingrained in my DNA. I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure it's never not in there. Do a lot of people Like, do they do they have a lot of prescription drugs? Because a lot of times people will, find that loophole and be like, oh, well, this is like prescribed to me, and then have those doctors that are basically just feeding an addiction.
Yeah. So Adderall, of course, is a big one.
Oh, I'm sure.
And then whenever you do take your urinalysis, when you sign for it, if you're on any prescription medications, you need to write SMHC. Or SMR, C medical record.
Okay,
yeah. Just in case if you do pop for something and you don't write that, they can process you out. Doesn't matter what your excuse is.
Oh yeah, even if you forgot to write. Sorry, I forgot to write it down.
Yeah, so I'm always putting that down. I'm like, I don't know, I'm probably like on creatine, but like literally nothing that would ever pop. But just in case, I'm gonna tell them they need to do that.
Just in case. Now, would that be a dishonorable discharge, or would they actually try to get you, help? Like if someone had a
no, that is not how the military works.
Real addiction. Yeah. I don't know why I asked that question. I already knew the answer.
Yeah. No, they it wouldn't be a dishonorable discharge. That's like act of Congress. It's a big deal. It would be. I think it's like administrative. So it'd show up. I think as maybe a general discharge or whatever. Maybe other than honorable, depending on the circumstances, but yeah, definitely not honorable.
Because most of the time when people are discharged, they always say it's honorable, right? People don't just get discharged, or do they? If they're just like, ugh, like you're a piece of shit, but we couldn't get rid of you, so they're just discharged, or?
Yeah. I mean, there's a million ways to skin a cat. Yeah, you can get an honorable discharge even if you're getting out early. Say you got pregnant, you didn't make it to the end of your enlistment, they might offer you the option to get out early.
Oh, nice.
In some cases, sometimes, if they're just a piece of shit, it could be a general discharge. I mean, there are a few wickets that you need to hit, and if you're a dirtbag and you kept getting demoted or whatever, they might do that to you. It just depends, and the branches are definitely different. Like
when it comes to just discharging.
Yeah, like Marine Corps is going to be much more stringent, and if you do get, something less than honorable, like getting that change for the Marine Corps is like impossible.
Oh wow!
But the other branches are a little more lenient depending on the circumstances.
When it comes with that, I know my dad, he had 2 Purple Hearts and a Silver Star.
Wow.
Purple Heart is where you save someone's life, right? Or you do wounded. Yeah, someone wounded, and then the Silver Star is like, that's the one where you save someone's life, right?
Yeah, that's a big deal. Yeah.
Yeah. I can never remember if it was 2 Silver Stars and a Purple Heart, or 2 Purple Hearts and a Silver Star. Again, I get that shit mixed up. I think it's 2 Purple Hearts and a Silver Star, because the Silver Star is a bigger one. But he was super young.
Oh, yeah.
Too, back then. That's so strange that they still allow people to go when they're 18. How old were you when you enlisted?
So I enlisted when I was 22, but I didn't leave until the following year, so I was 23 when I went to boot camp.
When you actually went to boot camp and stuff like that. And how long was boot camp?
It was just a hair under 2 months.
Oh wow, that's not a lot at all.
No. Marine Corps, I think, is like close to 3 months.
Yeah.
And, but Navy is not quite that long, and then of course you have your individual schooling after that.
All
over the map.
Yeah, wherever like you're specializing in like combat or other stuff. That's hilarious. It's like police officers here, they only need 60 college credits and to go through.
Which is insane.
And to go through, it's basically, that's basically just an associate's degree, where pretty much everywhere else in the world, it's 4 years, like they go through 4 years worth of training, and so the military, like the basic training's 2 months.
It is pretty wild, yeah. It's just, and all graduating boot camp does is like show that you're trainable.
Yeah,
that's it.
Yeah. Oh, because my dad, I mean, I've told this story before, but my dad, he had a fake ID, and he tried to get it. He enlisted. Mm-hmm. He enlisted, and he went through, I think he was about a month into the boot camp training, and then they found out that he had lied, that he was only 16. So when he was 17, because his older brother was over there, his big brother was there, and he's like, he's always trying to be like him, and so and he was just about to turn 17, and when you're 17 you could go through boot camp, you just have to wait until 18, and so they planned it out to where so he ended up having to go to boot camp twice. That was his punishment. But because they needed bodies for the fucking Vietnam War, they didn't, it wasn't that thing, and then he was a sergeant by the time he was 19.
That's so crazy. Vietnam era stuff. I actually interviewed my dad when I was home a couple weeks ago, and he knew he was going to get drafted probably, because again, Vietnam era, and so he just enlisted, and I think he was 18, would have just turned 18 when he went, and he was 18 when he went into boot camp, everything else, and then they sent him to officer candidate school. He graduated, got his butter bars, gets commissioned as an officer, 19 years old.
Yeah,
it's like,
that was a crazier time.
Was this the Civil War?
I mean, now it's a lot harder, right?
Oh, yeah.
Well, also because, I guess, there's always little wars going on, but it's not, it's not like the Vietnam War or like World War I or World War II, where it's easier to collect those types of pins.
Yeah, exactly.
So when you were overseas, and just in general, enlisted, were you sober, or did you get sober? No, because you're currently sober now.
Correct.
And how long have you been sober?
Just over 2.5 years.
2.5 years. And what made you decide to get sober?
So I had gotten sober at several points for varying reasons, whether I thought, I'm going to go back to drinking after this, like giving it up for Lent or something, or no, I'm really going to try, or, whatever it was. And had failed several times, and this last time I just went, I know I have to stop. I'm getting to the point where, just seeing the trend, I'm not going to be able to afford this in a couple months, for starters. And it's just like, I keep doing dumb shit, and it's going to catch up to me, it's going to bite me, and so I knew I could, from past attempts, I could white knuckle it through and get through, whatever they say, 10 days to 2-week period of the physical addiction ending. Yeah.
Were you a heavy drinker?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay. I don't see you being a heavy drinker.
Oh, yeah. I was a blackout. I drink a lot. And,
I know this sounds horrible, but I'm like, I would like to be blackout drunk, Andrea. I would like to see what she's like.
Yeah, I'm sure there's videos floating around somewhere. But yeah, so I know I can get through that, but it's one of those things where it's like, I couldn't understand, okay, physical addiction's over. What is the mental addiction? I don't even get that. Why is it, however long I'm sober, I always want to pick up a drink again?
Yeah.
I didn't get that, and I went to Hawaii with my siblings, and my sister and I were both sober. My brother was drinking, but a beer or two. He's never been out of control. And while I was over there, I found this book that explained kind of all of our justifications of drinking. Well, I have to have a champagne for this toast, I have to do whatever it is, and it just went, I get it now. I get what the mental addiction is, and it was like flipping a light switch, and I was like, oh, okay, I don't need a drink ever again. This is great. Now, granted, there is, why I started drinking in the first place. There are a lot of issues to address, and definitely had to go to therapy, and I did, and it was great. But yeah, as far as the desire to drink is just, it's gone.
It's gone?
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. That's good. Some people struggle with it.
Oh,
have you ever had, because obviously doing comedy and stuff, have you ever gone into a bar and just had that urge where your brain is like, we should order a beer right now?
No, it's simpler than that. It's kind of like, if Diet Coke's your drink of choice, it just never occurs to you to order a Fanta. It's kind of like that. I see other people drinking and whatever else, and it's, for the most part, it doesn't really bother me unless they're really sloshed or something.
Yeah.
Then, if they're loud, they're repetitious, that gets a little annoying. But, other people drinking, it doesn't bother me, and I just you know, I want to mirror something, so it's like, all right, I'll have a water.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll drink too much water and get up and go to the bathroom 3 times during
constantly.
open mic.
Yeah. I've done that before. Yeah, I've noticed when I'm not drinking alcohol, I'll tend to overcompensate with like either the sodas that I'm drinking or the juice, you know what I mean? The water, and be like, fuck, I'm going pee like I was drinking this.
Yeah. It's just all the moisture coming out of me.
That is the thing with like an addict's brain. It's the brain. It's like smoking cigarettes. It's that nicotine is out of your system in 3-4 days.
Yeah.
It's that mental habit that you like trained your brain, like your brain is wired to be like, oh, okay, for me it's, I wake up, you know, brush my face, or wash my face, brush my teeth, brush my face, wash my teeth.
Depends on your level of addiction.
Jesus, I am fucking retarded today. Everything is ass backwards. You know, feed Lucy, walk Lucy, smoke a cigarette. You know, get out of the shower, do my makeup, go smoke a cigarette. So, like, after a meal. So, it's just all these little times. It's literally scheduled in my day. And the multiple times that I tried quitting, one of the main things was, one, Zyban. I was taking Zyban. That helped with the mental craving tremendously.
Oh, good.
Obviously, it didn't work. Because I still smoke. Helped with the mental cravings, but it was also any time that I would normally go smoke a cigarette, I would do like meditation breathing for a minute, you know, to just like focus on my breathing, or you know, I try to like trick myself into doing different stuff.
Exactly.
You know, like doing something a little bit sooner or doing it later, you know, to kind of screw up the schedule. And it worked, you know, for a while, up to 8 months, until I had a couple of drinks to be like, I could just have one cigarette.
Yeah.
And then I just said, fuck it, I'm a smoker, I give up. I'm giving up.
It is so much work, because it's, you know, you have your conscious, the book that I read described as you have your conscious and your unconscious mind. And if you can build the right habits while you're conscious of it, then the unconscious will come, and it'll be automatic, and it'll be easier.
Yeah, well, like, it will start following suit. I think, what did they say? It takes 21 days to build a habit or something. And I'm like, I don't necessarily. Because I'll go, you know, fucking 3 months with meditating every day, and then all of a sudden have like a depressive episode, and then just stop for a month and be like, no, obviously not, but I'm still smoking.
No,
but that is the two different parts of our brains are fuck the second part, by the way. Or is that technically the first brain? The one that controls us. It's got like in psychology, it's like system 1 and system 2. It's like you have the conscious brain where you're like, I am going to do this, but then the other part of your brain is like, well, you're doing that because you like that, you know.
This is autopilot, and we're going to take over.
The autopilot is that's where the conscious, that's where like self-discipline and self-control come in play. You have that. You got that.
I managed to tap into it. Boy, am I lucky.
I do not got that.
It's tough, and like there early on after I read that book and I got sober, there were, like, you'd asked if I walked into a bar or did I want to drink. I was tempted to manage certain situations with alcohol early on, because I'd think, gosh, you know, I have such a hard time talking to this particular person. Like, I was so much more patient when I was drinking. And then you have people who are a little more seasoned, been through it, and they go, oh, no. Like, you're totally an impatient cunt. Like, alcohol didn't take that away. It just made you not care.
Yeah.
And then you go, oh, okay, I get it now. Like, I have to, you know, alcohol didn't make anything easier. It just made me more apathetic. I have to work at these things now to, you know, to actually genuinely exhibit more patience.
Yeah.
You know, and there's a work in progress. Chip away at it, and try not to think about how daunting the task is. Just, that's where one day at a time comes in. Yeah. And after, you know, if you journal some stuff, you see how far you've come in a year. It's like, wow, never thought I'd be here.
Yeah. So it is a lot. I've noticed that with pretty much anything and everything. It's just one day at a time. You got to stop dwelling on the past.
Yeah.
You can't change that stuff,
Exactly.
and constantly worrying about what's going to happen in the future. When that nothing, everything could change. Nothing
Absolutely.
is permanent. So, which is hard because I like to have control of things.
Yes. Yes.
I
hear you.
love control. Big fan of it over my life.
Yeah.
But yeah, you can't. I've also learned to. My favorite thing to say now is just it is what it is.
Yeah.
Well, like
Yeah.
people are gonna do this, and you can't change them. You can't control them. This is how this is gonna be. You can't do anything about it. So you either get angry about it, or you just be like, "Well, fuck, that sucks," and then just continue. Whatever.
Yeah. Just dwell in the area that you have control over. And,
Yeah.
everything else will play out how to play out.
Yeah. I definitely think us being on a floating rock, I do think, I think drugs are there to help us. Have you ever, since drinking was your big thing, were you ever into any other types of drugs, like weed or coke?
No. So growing up, I always had this idea that I would someday join the military or do something important that would have drug testing. So I never got into drugs, smoked pot or anything going into that. And then, because I'm been subject to random drug tests, I just never did.
Mm-hmm.
And now, I'm getting out in a few more days. And I thought about it, and okay, so, I'm not going to be drug tested. I could smoke pot if I wanted to.
Mm-hmm.
Just like, I dodged such a bullet getting sober with alcohol. I don't think I ever need to open another can of worms.
That makes sense. Makes sense. Yeah, not that like California sober. Where it's just weed or whatever. There are some people that do that, and it does have a lot of medical benefits. You know, but there's also you could also just do CBD without the.
Yeah, that's
THC.
an option too. Yeah. So I'm not ruling out CBD, let's say, but yeah, everything else, it's kind of like I'm sure there's benefits or there's something I might really enjoy about it.
Mm-hmm.
But in this case, I'm gonna say ignorance is bliss and just
not do it. So you've never taken acid before?
No.
Oh my goodness! Or mushrooms? You never taken mushrooms?
No.
Nothing like this. So no ecstasy, no K, no coke. You've never even tried pot? Not even one?
No.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's just like
you're like a drug virgin.
I know. And I'm not even Mormon. That's what's super crazy.
Or Muslim.
Yeah. But yeah, I still like my coffee. So
you like your caffeine. That's always fascinating to me as someone. Well, it's also because I grew up around people who did a lot of drugs. It was a part of a lot of different things. I take it you didn't grow up around a lot of that stuff. No, it was a very prevalent like in high school and stuff like that, or did you just not hang out with those types of people?
I wasn't really around
dirtbags.
anyone who did drugs, and then my parents mom was born in 44, my dad's born in 50. I mean they're pretty straight edge, working people, blue collar, and so it just it wasn't anything that I was really exposed to.
Yeah.
And by the time it would have been a thing, it was like, I'm not interested. I got some plans for later on in my life, and it's not gonna.
Yeah, mash. You had plans. I didn't have plans. I found acid instead of plans.
Yeah.
In high school, and stuff like that. That's cool though. I've known a couple of people who have been, completely straight edge, and it's, and not even really tried alcohol before, where it's just either their, mom or dad had a serious problem, so they're just not going to do anything because they're like, oh, I know it's in me.
Yeah,
I know. One of my buddies, because both of his parents were drug addicts and drunks. He goes he doesn't drink or anything, but he goes to meetings and stuff just to prevent him, just to see kind of like a preemptive thing. I don't want to end up like them, but he knows that it's in him. He has that taste.
Could very well be. Yeah.
So it is. It does go back to that. to that conscious effort, that self-control.
Yeah.
Also, though, I do think that a lot of people's brains are different, because some people can do that, where they know that they have a problem and they can't, and they could, I guess, like, rewire, trick their brain, move some neurons around and stuff like that, and build new pathways and new patterns.
Mm-hmm.
But I also think, for some people that they can't, that it may be a little bit more difficult.
Yeah.
For them, that's that second system or whatever in their brain is just too powerful.
Yeah, it's it's so difficult to get sober, and there's so many things that have to line up right for that to happen. Anyone who's trying to quit, my heart goes out to them. I know how tough that is. And just any little victory, like, I got 30 days, like, holy crap, man, good job, like, keep it up. You're through so much of the hard part, and it hopefully is a clearer picture starting to emerge, a clearer path forward, and hopefully, you can make it,
You can make it through. Yeah, a lot of people, people relapse, and that's normal. That's totally normal. It is a normal process of it, and yeah, some people struggle with it a lot more, and some people don't. And I think the people who do struggle with it see the people who don't, and try to compare themselves.
Yes.
And be like, oh, why can't I be like that? Why I'm such. It's just, you have an addict's brain.
Exactly.
It's just, you have an addict's brain. It's a fucking illness. You can't.
Yeah, and like, I'm very much a gym goer. I take meticulous notes on exercise I do, reps, weights, all that stuff.
Yeah.
So that's everything. And it's very much like that, where I'm never going to be able to deadlift 500 pounds. Like, it's just...
Yeah.
But I can do pretty damn well, and I have to compare myself to myself. So I go and I train, first day ever at the gym, write my numbers down, maybe come up with some goals for what I want to do in a year, and then test myself in a year. How did I do competing, like 2021 Andrea with 2022 Andrea? I probably did a lot better this time around. And that's really what I have to deal with. And, whatever anyone else is doing is kind of immaterial. Yeah,
you need to focus on yourself. There's also, I know a lot of people who have, who have gotten sober, and because they still have that addict's brain, they just move that type of mentality onto, working out.
Yeah.
Or some other craft, or, something.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like that. And sometimes that could be unhealthy too.
Sure.
They could take those habits, or activities, a little too hard, where it's an addiction. One girl, I knew a girl that, I know I've said it on here before, but it's a good example. She had quit, Adderall and doing cocaine, and she was going to the gym like 3 times a day some days.
Yeah.
Because she needed, needed that, and then, started, obviously slowing down a little bit.
Yeah.
But it is that thing where it's like, when I quit smoking, I definitely, I was going on longer walks. You have to try to keep your brain occupied, keep yourself occupied, so you don't think of stuff. But it is,
yeah,
it is hard. Smoking was harder, even with not being able to smoke in bars and stuff. I thought that would have been a big thing for me, to be like, oh, I'm gonna quit. Especially in the winter time.
Oh my God. Yeah.
No, it doesn't. No, I just
Nothing.
smell disgusting all winter in my jacket. That's why I always have perfume.
Oh, well,
smell
but
like a French whore.
But for someone like me, I can respect, the dedication.
Yeah, I am dedicated to killing myself slowly. Since no one will let me do it now, I gotta do it fucking slow and pay for it.
Yeah.
It's gay. Just kidding. One of the cool things that you do, you bake cookies.
Yes, this is...
I'm very excited. She brought in a nice little, I could put these in another container so you could keep your container.
Okay, yeah, that'd be awesome.
Because this is a really nice container, and I would steal it.
Yeah.
Yeah, how do you do it?
Yes, just kind of top like that.
Got it. Okay, so Andrea bakes cookies, everybody. If you live in the city, you do orders, right?
Yeah. I charge $10 a dozen, and I do ship as well. But if you're in the city, I can usually just deliver and save you some shipping costs. But
These are really good cookies.
These
are double chocolate chip, right? Chocolate chip.
Yeah, double chocolate chip. I also do oatmeal. I can do plain, raisin, or chocolate chip. And really weird one, but trust me, they're delicious, candy cane cookies.
I like candy cane cookies.
They're phenomenal.
Yeah. I mean, you don't really have candy canes now. Do you just use mint, or do you...
No, I use candy canes.
You find them?
Yeah, I order them on Amazon. There's this giant tub, and smash them up, throw them in.
Nice.
They're delicioso.
I'm a big fan of minty stuff like
Okay.
that. Like, yeah, I love candy canes. And fucking peppermint schnapps.
Peppermint Schnapps is definitely a favorite for me.
But like in stuff, like a grasshopper. If I try to do a shot of like Rumplemans or McGillicuddies right now,
oh boy,
I would probably die.
Yeah, it's just too much sugar and junk in
like
it.
I see Jägermeister, or I even just smell it. I'm like, oh god.
Oh yeah.
I can't do that. Another one, Goldschlager. I can't do that. Or what was the other one that Rumplemans made? Like the Black House. It was like a berry. It was like house was spelled Haus or whatever, and it had like this wild berry. But it was made by the same people who made the Rumpleman stuff, because it was all like thick.
Yeah.
And then we would chill it.
Yeah, it's just classy.
God, the stuff that we would drink when we were younger.
Oh, it's just insane.
Like moonshine. Well, I mean, I still drink moonshine sometimes, but
what else are you gonna make your gummy bears soak up? Am I right?
That is actually me and my girl. We did that for a festival.
Nice.
We soaked a bunch of them, and they just looked like gummy bears, so they let us bring them in, and we were sloshed.
Oh yeah, just hammered. I remember that.
You're just eating them. You're like, how am I so drunk? That's the same thing that happens with fucking with the weed edibles too. You're like, oh, these are really good. These don't have weed in them, do they?
No,
no.
No. Yeah, people ask that, and it's like, maybe once I'm out, maybe make a special batch here and there for
for special clients, because these are good cookies, and then you throw some weed in there, and then they're special cookies.
Yeah, exactly.
They're gonna be really good.
Yeah, but yeah, that's been my side hustle, and people have been very generous, placing their orders from all over the country, even a couple people in Canada. So
nice.
Yeah, so people have just been awesome supporting my little side project,
your little baking thing.
Yeah, well,
I love that you love to bake. Because you don't look like a person that would bake.
It's kind of cathartic for me, because it's kind of going on autopilot and messing around with stuff, and you listen to a few podcasts, and it's just almost kind of a way for me to relax.
Yeah, like a meditative kind of thing. I get that. My mom likes to bake too. I can bake. I don't though, because I like to cook too, and I'm a decent cook, but it seems it's like work for me most of the time. Like, it doesn't seem fun where you're like, oh, I like doing this, and I'm like, cleaning is that's like, I like cleaning. I would rather clean than have to cook something. Is that because we're women? That's sexist.
Maybe. I don't really cook that often. I have like the kind of the same meal every time. I make it in a crock pot. Chicken, spinach, quinoa, just all mixed together. It tastes just fine to me. It's just as nutritious as you could possibly get, and talk about turning your brain off. You turn it on to the low setting, leave it for 12 hours, and you've got delicious meals for 2 weeks. Yeah.
There's certain meals, like certain dishes that I like to make that I'd be like, okay, because I don't necessarily have a recipe, so it's kind of different all the time, like my beef stroganoff, or my beef bourguignon, or beef burgundy, Those are like crock pot ones.
Mm-hmm.
Also, my homemade sloppy joes.
Ooh, very
homemade,
nice.
yeah. It's a homemade like manwich kind of recipe. It's very similar to manwich, but it's not manwich. I make it.
Okay. Very nice.
It's delicious. I'll make them for you sometimes. All right.
Cool.
I'm like, now I'm stoned and I'm eating cookies and talking about sloppy joes. God damn it.
Hitting all the bases.
Yeah, all the bases. Well, thank you so much for coming on. This is super fun. I'm glad I know about a little bit more about the military and their drug use. They're not as cool as they were, back in the 70s, but I don't think anything is as cool as it was back in the 70s,
Doesn't
80s.
seem like it, does it?
And even 90s. I think those, we throw in the 60s too.
Yeah.
Actually, the 1900s were pretty dope, you guys.
Yeah.
I've been hearing people say that, like the late 1900s. I'm like, I will fucking beat you. Fuck you in the late 1900s.
Just say 80s or 90s, you psychopath.
Like, what? Yeah. Like, you're not proving any points.
Yeah. I mean, culturally, each decade did seem pretty distinct from the one previous or the one following.
The 2000s were all a blur.
Yeah.
They still seem like fucking 1990 still seems only 10 years ago to me. That is 100%. I'm like, no, that was just, no, it was not. It was a long fucking time ago.
Yeah, I always have to stop and think, like, how long ago was that? Oh
yeah.
God.
Very long. So fucking long ago. I remember, when I was younger, I knew people born in the 1920s, 1915. And I'm like, oh shit, when I'm fucking 80 or 90, people are going to be like, you were born in 1970. And I'm God.
No, it's going to be wild, yeah.
It's crazy living on this fucking floating rock. All right, where can people find you?
You can find all of my socials at comicscard.com/Andrea-Bryant. My primary is probably my Twitter, and that is Andrea from SLC.
All right. And you can catch her Wednesdays at Route 66 Comedy Club.
Absolutely.
Down in the financial district. You can find this wonderful show on Twitter and Instagram at How to Do Drugs Pod. I may be making a TikTok for it, but I keep trying to put in the title How to Do Drugs, and I keep getting kicked out, so I may have to try. It's like they just automatically made it a private account, and I'm like, So we're gonna work on that. But please listen, rate, and subscribe on Apple, iTunes, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Google, all the places, and YouTube, all the places you find podcasts. I'm your host, Aaliyah Janine. You can find me, the Aaliyah Janine, on Twitter, and Aaliyah.Janine on Instagram. Okay, bye. You're not getting a fucking cookie, Lucy.